and somewhere in there, all of a sudden it was gone.
Oh, it, almost like overnight.
Do you know what year?
Cold melt.
Do you know what year the school closed?
I don't know.
It was in the sixties, because when I started teaching in 1960, I saw it listed as a potential place for high school seniors to go, and that would have been around 62, 3, along in there, but then, I'm gonna guess early sixties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe when I was
It happened
9 or
awfully
10 years
fast.
old, right in there. Was it? It was in a storefront or was it upstairs?
Storefront.
Storefront.
Next to the Royal Blue Cafe.
Yeah, yeah, I knew it was on that side of the street.
Next to the Royal Blue Cafe, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was a Green Lantern.
Well, that's another color. The royal blue.
Royal Blue came first.
Yeah, well, the Royal Blue didn't serve alcoholic.
Vic and I were in the Naval Reserve together
Oh, yeah?
for years. We went to Havana, Cuba, and then took these cruises on the ship once a year. That was back in the, started in the late 50s
Oh, yeah?
through the 60s.
I
Big
love to
waste
hear
of
those
taxpayer money,
stories.
teaching us for two-week wonders, we were called.
Yeah.
So you got some stories regarding that?
Huh?
You got some stories regarding that you
Yeah,
want to
I
share?
can tell in Vic's company.
Oh,
Look at where you went to Cuba, right, buddy?
You have to tell the story like a sailor, so that will work.
Oh, wait a minute, do you still have Luisa's phone number?
Huh?
only
Still have
around
Luisa's
that
phone
helps.
I was selecting.
Were you smoking Cuban cigars? And
I
drinking
never
their
was a
good
cigar
rum?
smoker, but
No.
I remember, you remember Seth Dimmo,
Oh, yeah.
when he heard we were going to Cuba, he came to me and said, bring back, told me several things besides Cuban cigar, and there was some kind of a,
Rum, maybe?
Dark
Cuban
rum.
huh?
Yeah.
Rum, maybe Cuban
No, I
rum.
don't think it was rum, it was some kind of a dessert that they had that he just loved, but also he wanted some Cuban cigars. I never brought anything
Well,
back.
Seth would go to Cuba on occasion. That was before Castro came in.
Yeah,
You could go back
Batista
and-
was,
Batista.
he was the president of
I
Cuba.
was satisfied Seth and Batista were best buddies,
Oh,
knowing Seth. Batista had nothing on Seth when it came to corruption.
Is Seth the one that was the artist?
Oh, no, that was,
Ron?
a nephew of his, I think, or a cousin. What Denbo was it?
Earl Denbo.
Earl Denbo.
Oh, Earl.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've got a painting that my grandmother had in her home in
Yeah.
Sulphur of Riverbend, like from the overlook
Oh,
looking
yeah.
down.
Earl
One of the
painted that
Denbo.
picture.
Earl?
Now, he was humpback, wasn't he?
Yeah, Earl was all humped over, but he was an excellent.
Very good painter, he was an artist.
Now, I would have used a different adjective there. I would have said he was an aspiring painter,
Aspiring.
Aspiring painter.
aspiring
I
artist.
thought it was quite good.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He painted the seal for the courtroom. It was pretty rough. Had an Indian on it. You go into the courtroom and think, oh my. But that's pretty hard to do, a portrait, a facial portrait.
Yes, that's true. Landscapes are easier.
Much easier. I don't think that was his forte, the portraits, the landscapes were.
So Dad, who were the ones, was it Donnie, Vic and you, that would swim across the Ohio River from Alton? Tell us
The
about that.
three of us, we did it together, didn't we?
Not me, I did
No,
not.
but
I did it many times.
Donnie and Arnie and me, we would take that boat across and swim across the Ohio from Alton to Wolf Creek.
Yep,
We
I've
were
done that.
joint owners of that wonderful boat, 14 feet long.
I told you, I think it's probably still in Arnie's garage. I'd like to see that boat.
I'll be there. I've made that same swim a bunch of times.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there was a little girl over in Wolf Creek that I used to visit. Young girl.
I would tell Donnie,
I was
one
gonna
time
do that.
we were working on
Well,
that.
that's okay.
That boat in his garage, and I think it was me and Donnie, I don't know if Arnie was with us, but it was in his garage there. And this dog comes through a hole in the garage up to us. It had been chasing a skunk. And the skunk had hit him. And he was coming to us for protection. And it would run to us and, oh, it was just horrible smell. And we went running out through the yard toward his house and the dog was following, just right along. Help me, help me. I remember that distinctly.
I'll bet you do.
You hurt the dog's feelings.
Oh, yeah. That poor little dog, you know, he learned his lesson.
Now, what's Arnie's situation? Is Arnie still
Well,
kitchen?
Jeremy talked to Arnie yesterday, and,
Where is he?
He's in Boonville, and he said he may be up for a visit tomorrow, or he may be able to make it to Wyandotte Cave on Saturday for the reopening. So I left it that he was gonna pick on it, and I checked back with him today.
We'll go if you'd like to join us.
I've got to work in our museum up at New Albany, but I might be able to join down at the Overlook, and you're going to be down there around
5:30.
5:30 or so.
5:30, yeah.
Saturday,
I can probably
Saturday.
make it down there.
Doug married Edith, didn't he?
Doug, unfortunately, no, Doug married Mary Edith, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's what I
Mary Edith Brown,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that.
Now, did you kind of like Mary Edith at one time?
He liked all the
I
girls.
never dated her. I liked Ella May was my first love.
Della Mae.
If you liked Mary Edith, you owe Doug a lot.
Huh?
If you liked Mary Edith, you owe Doug a lot.
Well, she and Ella May were a year ahead of me with you.
Yeah, they were cheerleaders, and our graduating class was the smallest since about 1900.
Yeah. You only had, what, 7 in the whole class?
Well-
7 or 8?
8. When we played hooky the last week of school, we all got in Jeannie Bucklandale's car and took off.
Oh, yeah.
The whole class.
The whole class, 8 of us.
The whole senior class. That's good.
Most of May married Bertie Baker.
Bertie Baker.
And her sister says he was a big jerk. He flew around with her all the time, and ignored her.
Oh, well, they got
Well,
it.
that, I didn't remember.
I don't know.
He-
turned out
Bunk remarried a young lady, a younger lady, when he was old enough to know better, for sure. He was probably about 60. And they had 2 or 3 kids. So Bunk, he had a second,
Is
Jeannie,
that right?
he had a second family. Did you know that?
What happened to his little brother, called him Tiny?
I saw him yesterday.
Remember that Tiny Mobile?
Didn't have a conversation.
Donnie says,
He lives up in Orange.
I saw him yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
And he had his son with him at the 64 Express gas station.
he lives in Upper Hill, doesn't he, Donnie?
Somewhere in Orange County.
Yeah.
He turned out better than anybody dreamed he would.
Yeah, Tiny did well.
I asked Tiny one time, how'd you get this scar, Tiny? He had a scar right here. He said, I put a 38 cartridge on top of a BB gun and pulled the trigger. And it blew up in his face. Of course, it didn't go, he was going to shoot it to the moon. It just blew up right in his face. It threw shrapnel right in his face.
Oh, gosh,
You know, it wasn't cased in anything, it was just sitting there.
that's scary.
Yeah, I was gonna try that next week, but now I'm off.
It's been done and it doesn't work.
Did any of you sing together? Barbershop?
Huh?
Barbershop singing? No, I don't.
I did.
You did?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who'd you sing with? Do you remember?
Yeah. A group of Cardin.
Oh,
J.D. Williams used to take me over to Cardin just to sing barbershop with Burley Conrad over there and his 2 sons.
okay.
And it was a great group, it really was. I mean, Conrad, I assume the family is still there in Cardin. That was a musical family. He owned a music
Oh, yeah.
store.
And you were soprano or alto or
Tenor.
tenor?
Tenor.
You want to sing a few bars for us of
No,
something?
I don't.
Any requests?
Now seriously, that would help us understand that.
I sing happy birthday to him every year.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got I've got this year's happy birthday song saved on my phone, so I can play that for all to hear.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And when you were a senior, didn't they call you the Great Caruso?
They may have in the annual,
Oh, the annual book, yeah.
the annual book.
You know, or one student, I forget the girl's name, she wrote like where the prophecy or something, the prophecy for all your
I
classmates.
remember that, I don't know who wrote it though.
And she said something about, and I went to Carnegie Hall and I heard this beautiful voice singing, and it was Mike Flanagan.
That might have been Mary Edith that said that, who knows?
The great Caruso.
She had a tendency
The great
to
Caruso.
exaggerate.
Donnie, you told a story yesterday about you and Mike maybe serenading Pat Flanagan. What was that story?
For some reason, we parked on the west side of Main Street in English, right beside the stone building, and got out of the car and sang, "Believe Me, Those Endearing Young Charms." I don't know what
that song.
I don't know who we were singing to, maybe just ourselves.
I'm gonna listen to that on my car radio, you see if I
Good luck finding it. So what was on Main Street, if you were coming from the south into English, coming across the railroad tracks, what were the buildings lined up along the south,
I don't remember.
west side?
Hangar Real Estate was there.
The first building was a restaurant, the Duck Inn,
Yeah, before you crossed the railroad, there was
Really?
the mill. Big,
the big mill.
yeah.
Where that gas station is now?
No, it's, the mill's still there. The mill
There was a
is
gas
big tall.
station
Oh,
across,
right.
across the street from the printing office. There was a gas, was it Gordon Hangar's,
Later on, it was Gordon Hill.
Kent Parr, Gordon Hanger.
Kent Park? I remember that. Kent
Yeah,
Park.
that
Maybe
is,
that's what it
there's
was.
gas stations still under there, they never took those up.
The Mail Grocery was the first business.
And the theater.
When I was a kid, across the railroad track, and it set down a few feet, Mail Grocery.
Oh, that wasn't the Duck Inn at that time,
Later on, it became the Duck Inn.
because you had to
I remember the
step
Duck Inn.
down from the sidewalk to another sidewalk, under a little roof, you couldn't hardly see in that business. It was down. It wasn't a cellar, but it was just lower elevation. I guess they were trying to get where the flood water would have an easier time getting in.
Yeah, right.
And then there was the Jim Daly house
Yeah.
that sat next door, and when English was being torn down, a couple from Ferdinand, Indiana came by, and the wife said, "Oh, honey, we've got to have that Queen Anne house." It was a beautiful home. They bought it for almost nothing. They cut it in two,
Right in the middle.
And look, I remember
put it
that.
on trailers, moved it down to near Ferdinand, Indiana, and it's a beautiful Queen Anne down there today. One of the few buildings of downtown English
Yeah.
is saved.
It's not small either. The footprint of that home was 50 by 50.
Oh my God, that
And-
was on Main Street?
It was on Main Street and it sat down like the Duck Inn.
Yeah.
And the odd thing was, I don't know if this was some kind of optical illusion or what, but that home did not get flooded in 90. It may have in 79, but it did not get flooded in 90, and I don't know how it could have kept from it. The whole town flooded, and it looked like it sat lower than the rest of the town. But
Wow.
they didn't get flooded on the hardwood floors, at least. A friend of mine, junior Newkirk, lived in a good while, we had a basketball goal up in the attic. It had it was hand-cut hip roof, shaped like a pyramid. It didn't come to a perfect point, it had a ridge, a short ridge, maybe this long. But all those rafters were hand-cut, and it was really pretty to look from the attic. And the attic floor was covered in hardwood downstairs and pine up there, through pine. But it was,
Wow.
and that was all just one big open room. We played basketball up there, but It was a chilly house. Colder than
Take
ice.
a lot to heat that house.
The heat always roared up to the attic. Now, it was warm up there playing basketball downstairs as well.
So what, on the east side, was the printing office there then? I guess it was, because if Arthur had built the printing office. Wasn't that the first building beyond the creek?
Nope,
Nope. Honky Tonk, first
No,
building.
no,
There was the honky tonk.
That's on the other side.
Moore's Restaurant.
Well, that's what she's talking.
she said
Yeah,
beyond the
I
creek.
thought
She said beyond the
Oh, beyond the creek, which side of the street?
creek, on the right.
on the right,
East.
on the east side of the street.
That's the honky tonk, right
Oh,
on the river. right on the
Beyond
creek.
the
I
creek
thought
there,
that-
after you cross the creek.
Across the creek.
Honky Tonk's before you cross the creek.
That's right, before you cross the creek. Is that where you met?
She said beyond the creek, beyond the
After.
creek.
Right.
Beyond
The
the bridge.
printing
is
office
the
was
creek
there,
side.
but between the printing office and the creek, there was another
There's
building.
another building, that's right.
Which
I didn't know
then was
that.
at one time a meat market,
Yep.
and then the printing office
Then
moved
the-
over as a storage.
And there was a little opening between the stream and the meat market building that looked like it had a building, but it never did in my days.
Mine neither.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're facing the east side of the street, so on the right, to the left of the printing office, was that Grinders?
Yes.
Harold Grinders?
Harold Griner, yes.
And then to the left of that, was that, the Five and Dime?
Barbershop
Barber shop.
Oh, the
The
barber
barbershop,
shop.
Billy Hugh Gillum.
with a hairdresser in back.
Crawford County Security was
Salon in back.
Okay, I remember that
Earl-
now.
Earlier
Yeah.
than that, sometime there was a bowling alley snuck in there somewhere.
There
Bob
was a
probably-
bowling alley across the street, up on the second floor, wasn't it?
Oh,
Second
one.
And near the bank building on the corner upstairs was a, what do they call it, a duck pin bowling alley. Duck
Oh,
pin,
I never
small
did
pins.
that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, then there was some little department store, Poindexter's,
Yeah,
right? And then the bank?
That, Poindexter's was about 1960, or maybe a little
A
later.
little later, probably.
They bought one store, they bought the dime store from Derby Smith. Or not. I think that's right. And then they bought the clothing store beside it that was called Cook's. Remember Cook's?
Yeah.
And they connected the two together. Poindexter's, it was, they came here from Middletown about 1960. Remember Bobby dated Sherry Sim? We got Clinton in the head with the grapevine and pretty well killed him. Lincoln Poindexter. No, he didn't kill him. It was- We thought he killed
And then at one point, wasn't it was there JC? There was a grocery store in there for
him.
a
After the
while.
barber shop, the alley, there was a big building that was the JC, pretty good sized building.
Yeah, JC was right on the corner opposite the bank.
Well, that's your
At one
Speaking
time.
of two different JCs.
Yeah, that's the old
Wow.
JC, Vic. She
The
was
old
the other.
JC was on the corner.
Yeah, right.
And they bought Global Zone store,
Yeah,
turned that into the JC.
correct.
That's right.
Then, and the one on the corner became a dry goods place, or something like that. I think I called it dry
Basil
goods.
I don't remember what happened.
It had a
Billy
funny
Hugh Gillum.
corner entrance. The entrance was 45 degrees.
Yeah, they worked together there. for a
Nice
while.
entrance.
And then you called Basil out.
Yeah.
Then the library was in that nice kind of Victorian house on Fifth Street, right?
S.A.
He's
Beals'
been-
house, yes.
That was a library for a long time.
He was the superintendent of English schools.
That also went in there about 1962 or something.
So this is more about my memory than yours.
Library building.
Most of the things you're remembering would have been different. wouldn't
F.A.
they?
Fields used
Yeah.
to live.
That's right.
Remember him?
Sure.
Did you grow up in English, or you just visited enough to?
I was scared of him.
No, well, we lived
Everybody
here
was scared of him.
until I was
He used to
about
sit up there
4,
and
I
look out
think.
the window.
Then we moved to
Make sure
Bloomington, then
we
Indianapolis,
stayed on the
then
sidewalk.
Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
And if people would wonder when they were going home, they would call him up and he'd raise heck for them. If they'd get us kids getting in somebody's yard,
Oh, yeah.
they would tell SA bills.
Who was it who had a pet crow?
Huh?
Who had the pet crow that would follow him to school?
Novi Dykes.
How did you remember that? Yeah, it was Novi Dykes, and they taught him to talk. He used to say, "Where are you going?" and "Where's Novi?" You remember that? And he
Where's
would
Novi?
go to school and go from window to window. to
He'd look in the window.
Look in the window till he saw where Novi was.
Looking for
So
Novi.
that's
That's
a
his
true
pet crow.
story.
Oh, yeah.
People don't
You guys
realize
all
how
saw
smart
that.
crows are.
Well, they taught him more than
Was the name of the.
where you going to.
Taught a few naughty words.
He would land in the schoolhouse windows, and he said somebody taught him some really vulgar words, and they had to,
I hope that wasn't my dad and Vic and.
well, it could have been, but they had to keep him from doing that because he was having an impact on the
Teaching
whole
the kids some
generation
new
of
words.
kids there. So
That's hilarious.
what they did was terrible, they clipped his wings. You know what that means?
Who did that?
I don't know, somebody chose to clip his wings, cut the pin feathers, and then he couldn't fly. And they didn't see him for weeks and weeks, and when they finally saw him again, he was all tattered, and where cats had been after him and everything else, he was on the ground.
Couldn't defend himself.
Terrible, terrible.
And he didn't make it much longer after that. So whoever did that should have had their feathers clipped too.
Agreed.
Good old days, huh?
At the beginning of a flock of talking crows, you know, people taught the other crows.
Could be world famous English talking crows.
They split his tongue to enable him to talk.
Oh, okay.
I understand that that was unnecessary. That was a story they used to tell when I was young. You split the
Well, maybe it isn't.
split the tongue, but later on I found out that wasn't it, that they can learn to talk without that.
Oh, okay. Crows are very smart, I know that.
Yeah.
If you try to sneak up on a crow sometime,
They're supposed to be one of the smartest birds going.
I believe that.
They can talk, teach them all kinds of things.
And you point out that they, by sight, can distinguish between human beings, but human
Yeah,
beings
they
can't
can.
distinguish by sight.
We can't
between
identify
crows.
them, but they can identify us.
Yeah.
One time I thought I was going to raise a little crow there in Annandale. And I caught this crow that had fallen out of the tree. And I took it up and put it in my bathroom in the tub. And it was too young to really fly, but it was a little bit too old. And I had it for a couple of days, and it wasn't adapted to my. So I took it back outside with the crows, and these crows were up in the trees, and yelling and screaming at it for 2 weeks after that. Every time I would walk up to the Safeway store, they would follow me, yelling and screaming. This is you dirty dog, baby. It really was. They knew me.
Oh,
No
yeah.
matter what I had on,
Oh,
they
yeah.
knew me, and they would yell and scream, and follow me up through the trees. Isn't that funny? But they sure did. I witnessed that.
That could be how Hitchcock got his inspiration.
For the birds, right?
Oh, good point.
Oh, crows are amazing, you know, they're really sharp. You can't sneak up on them. When I was a kid, I was gonna be Mikey Hunter and would sneak up on them, just prove I could get within range to kill one. Wasn't trying to kill one, I don't think I even had a gun.
Want to see how close you could get.
They would let you come up close to them, riding a bike or something like that, or maybe just walking. But if you were sneaking, no way.
So did Vic or Donnie, anybody go with you when Martha Jane would take you to the Billy Graham revivals? Where did he come? He used to come, not to English.
To the revival,
Billy Graham, when he did his,
Winona Lake. Martha Jane took me up to Winona Lake.
Where's
That's in
Winona Lake?
Warsaw, Indiana. To Billy Graham. He would come in from wherever he lived there and preach at the Billy Sunday Tabernacle. And that's the first time I saw Billy Graham. You know, he would get wound up, his face would turn white, the blood vessels would pop out here. It was hellfire and brimstone back in those
Yeah.
days. I mean, he would just, that was his beginning. scaring all the audience.
Then he eventually toned down, got reasonable.
Oh, yeah, well, a few years later, when he went on these crusades, he toned it down to, everybody loved him.
When did your family move to Groton, Connecticut?
Huh?
When your family moved to Groton, Connecticut, why, was that because your dad was in the Navy?
He was in the Navy and first he went out to California, and then he got transferred to New London, Connecticut, the sub base there. And Groton is a little town there by New London, and that's when we moved to Groton.
And what grade were you in?
5th, 6th, something like that.
How did you know World War II was over?
Because of there was the Thames River that went up there. The subs would go up and down that river, and then one day you'd hear these subs, do, dot, 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 dash was me for Morse code, means victory. That was the day, the 1945, when the war was over. Those subs would go down and do this tooting up and down the river. That's how everybody in Groton and New London knew the war was over, because of that.
So they weren't texting it to everybody then?
That was as close as they could come.
Now, in English, Indiana,
Effective though, wasn't it?
they set a big bonfire at the main intersection. These were two state highways, 64 and 37, and I guess shut down for hours. Huge bonfire, and I went there, and I thought it was raining for a while because the tin roofs that were all over town were getting pelted by buckshots from shotguns. People were shooting shotguns all over town up in the air, and the buckshot was falling down on the tin roofs. And it was hitting the people too, but not enough to hurt them.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
it's
were,
similar to what they do in Arab countries now when they take out the AK-47.
Oh, yeah.
shoot them in. Only when they come down, they hurt.
yeah. That had to be a pretty exciting day.
That was.
And you were in elementary school.
Yeah, and as young as I was then, I realized that was a very, very important day.
A very big deal. So then, Dad, your family moved back to English after that service anymore,
Oh,
and was your
my uncle bought the Linotype School.
Uncle Paul bought the Linotype School that same time frame, shortly thereafter, and moved it to English. What's the guy's name that instructed the students at the Linotype School?
Who did what?
Who instructed the students? Who taught the Linotype? Taught somebody?
Bob Kilburn.
Bob Kilbert was there, but there were people before him. There was a couple before him. He was related to Ronnie Kissel. An uncle or something.
Pop something?
Huh?
Pop?
Well, Pop Morrison was from Marengo. Do you remember him?
No.
Pop Morrison? Yeah, he worked at Maureen at the Linotype School, and he came with the machines as an instructor, Pop Morrison. And he had a home in Marengo.
So he just moved down here, it
He
wasn't,
just came down with that was his
had to
job.
show people how to run those newfangled machines, huh?
I think a bull, he had a little farm there with his wife there in Marengo, and he used to go out and tease his bull, and one day the bull gored him to death.
To
You
death?
remember that?
I do remember someone getting killed at Marengo.
Yeah, well, he was out there, he'd go up to that bull and make faces at it and tease it, and one day that bull took off after him and gored him to death.
Well,
That's how
that's a
Pop
lesson
Morrison
learned
died.
for all you young guys.
Huh.
Don't tease a bull.
Or crow, but bull,
Or-
definitely.
Or a crow.
You guys, you didn't mention there was a movie theater in town, wasn't there?
There was a movie theater, Vic used to throw firecrackers over there, and Mark Dooley, you
What?
remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Poor old Mark would walk up and down the street, Vic was back there throwing firecrackers, bang, bang, and that would upset Mark. Oh,
In the movie house or outside?
No,
outside.
Not inside.
You know, we went
It was
in,
outside.
we went in and let loose a, big container of lightning bugs at the movie house one night.
But we throw torpedoes on a couple of occasions from behind the building, over the building, while Mark Dooley was on patrol. He was the town marshal.
They don't know
Oh, I
what,
wondered, I thought he was the,
they don't know what a torpedo is.
Well, a torpedo was a
Little round-
little round silver ball, and it would explode when you threw it against something, or when you threw it up in the air and hit something solid.
Had a
oh, you
heavy-
didn't have to light it.
Oh, no, you
No.
didn't
It
lie.
had a heavy end with the percussion. I mean, it was weighted so it would hit on the point.
It was, the ones I remember were all solid round, silver colored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I remember.
So Dooley was the local
He was the local
constable,
law.
huh?
Town marshal.
Town marshal, yeah, Mark Dooley. Didn't have a car, but he did have a billy club. I don't remember never having a gun.
He had a bullet in his pocket.
Barney Fife.
That's Barney Five.
So he didn't have a car, so he couldn't go in hot pursuit of you hellraisers.
Nope.
He just testified. I swear that on this day, they
Vic
did this and
McGinnity
this and
did
this.
this and that. So Dad, you had fond memories of Mr. Beasley, the math teacher. Melvin's dead.
Bill Beasley was born in 1899, lived all through the 20th century, and he died early in the 2000s.
And he saw Haley's Comet
So he
twice.
saw 3
Wow.
centuries.
He did.
He saw 3 centuries and he saw Haley's Comet twice.
Huh?
He saw Haley's Comet twice.
Yeah, that's right.
You said you thought he was a fantastic math teacher,
I
maybe the best in
think,
the
looking
state.
back, I think he was one of the best teachers in the whole state. I mean, there was stuff he taught us, I remember today, like about geometry and algebra. I mean, he just loved that, and he taught that love to his kids. We made fun of him, I remember, but.
Because he was enthusiastic about it.
And he could put his math to proper use too, because he told me, he said, now, I was just out of high school, he said, now Vic, I know hamburgers are 15 cents here at the corner restaurant, or 10 cents at the corner restaurant. No, 15 cents, I'm sorry. But you can drive over to Marengo and get them for 10 cents, and that's where I'm heading right now. So he's putting his math to good use.
Yeah, it cost him 10 cents worth of gas to get there.
He told me that.
Yeah, but he had a good way of teaching you how math is important, and you actually used it in everyday life, right? Was this that article about him, Ted?
English teacher leaves for service in the Army. Yeah, that would,
I didn't have him in school. He was long since retired when I came to school, but I would ask him math problems, if I had a geometry problem or something, and didn't know the formula, or a trig problem especially, and he'd have the formula he said.
So all of you held him in high regard, it
Oh,
sounds
yeah, he
like.
was-
That's Maxine, that's
He was
Dolly's
sharp.
sister there, Maxine.
He
yeah,
had,
that's not his
It
sister.
is.
Yeah,
Wait, where's mine?
that, what was that, when Bill was first going into the army?
Well, you say English teacher.
And she was a senior,
Right there?
Maxine was a senior there.
That's not, that's somebody else.
Somebody else, he said.
Huh?
No, it says Miss Maxine Stanton,
Maxine
so
Stanford.
that's who it was.
Oh,
I never, yeah, that sort of looks like her, yeah. Is that Melvin?
That's Melvin.
Melvin
yeah. That's
Beasley.
Bill's son Melvin, which you've talked to recently, haven't you, Dad?
Huh?
Melvin Beasley, you've
Yeah.
spoken to him fairly recently, haven't you?
Fairly,
In the
a few
last
years ago,
year?
yeah.
I had lunch with
He
Melvin.
contacted me, but he lives out in California.
I had lunch with Melvin and Philip Smith. Remember Philip
Oh, sure,
Smith?
yeah.
We had lunch about 6 months ago at the golf course here,
Is that right?
and it was very nice. We all three got together, and we had been together forever. And Philip used to go to school. We were all in the same grade, But Philip moved to Paley when his dad took a car dealership job or something up there. Is that right, Don? Or was it insurance?
I mean, that's more like it,
I think maybe it's insurance. But anyway, he moved away about the 7th or 8th grade that we were in, and then I see him once every 3 or 4 years. But we got together, and that was really
Picked up where you left off.
yeah.
Think
Good
I've
old
got-
friends can do that.
I've got to go. I've got a problem with Anthem Blue Cross somewhere.
Uh-oh.
Serving.
Uh-oh. Okay, all right, Mark, see you a little
So
later.
that's my sister.
Yeah, that's a good picture of Bill. I don't remember him that
She's a
young.
senior in high school.
I know Maxine, and it does look like Maxine to me.
Now, Bill told me his first teaching job was at Temple. Now
Good to meet you,
Temple,
Okay.
Temple,
Now, what's your name?
Bill,
Bill Pike. Good to meet you. I've seen you around.
now, why would Bill Beasley walk from the school from English to Temple? That's about 4 miles. Would you say English to Temple, about 4 miles?
yeah.
It's all about 3 miles.
Well, 3 or 4
Yeah.
miles. But he walked the railroad track. Because the roads were always dirty and muddy. The railroad track was clean. He said, oh, I could get to school, my shoes would still be in good shape.
Pretty smart.
Yeah.
You have any memories of the railroad, taking the,
I remember
Train.
John and I used to go down to the English depot and get on the train and go up to Marengo and get off at that depot and go up to for our piano lessons. And then come back in the afternoon the same way, get off at the 2 depots. I remember Bill Beasley, some of the things he used to do. I remember the square of the hypotenuse of the right triangle is equal to some squares of the 2 legs. He taught us little sayings like that that stuck with me through the years. That's kind of, you know what, but you know there's a movie now, what's the name of that movie? Whatever it is, they misquote that. They said the square of the hypotenuse of an isosceles triangle, which is wrong. It's not isosceles. It's got to be a right triangle, which is 90 degrees. But think of the squares of the 2 legs together make the square of the hypotenuse. But Bill taught me that.
And I think you still remember it.
I still remember it. And to me, it's still amazing to even think about it.
You did a good job.
Yeah, he did a good job. The week that Donnie Stanford graduated from high school, John Flanagan and I and several other guys, we went out the railroad track, out to the trestle. We were down the river, running all over the place. I don't know, doing stupid stuff. Well, John broke his leg. And we had to carry him back. I mean, he was on one leg, and that's a pretty good run from the trestle bridge back into English. And there was one of us on each side. And you remember when he graduated, he had his leg in a cast?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he held my hand, essentially, he's using me for a brace.
Okay, yeah.
But he broke his leg because you guys were jumping.
Oh, I don't remember exactly how he did that, but he was down and out.
well, how about sports? Do you have any memories of playing sports growing up in English? Any sports teams?
Basketball.
Baseball?
I never played sports in my senior year because I liked John Benny Dobson, but I didn't like the next guy. What's his name? You remember? Glamour Boy.
Was it Rutherford? Playing Rutherford? Oh, I forget. I forget.
But anyway, when John Benny, he had to retire. They came up here and used to teach 4 years and you become permanent. Well, everybody left, the schools left after 4 years, the teachers, so they wouldn't have to put up with that. But that's the reason John Benny had to leave after my junior year. But I didn't go into sports after that. What was his name?
So they'd have to give the teacher tenure,
Yeah, that's right.
and they didn't want to do that, so they let them all go when they would get to the 4
You sign
years.
a fifth contract, and I think it's still that law, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
it's-
think. Then they make you a permanent or tenure teacher, and then they can only get rid of you for just cause.
Uh-huh.
But they would shuffle, especially here in Crawford County, they'd shuffle teachers around. Marengo, my dad never made a tenure teacher, he taught almost 40 years. He was shuffled here and there, and they'd trade back and forth, go all over the area.
So the teacher would have to stay at the same school for,
Same school.
Same
district.
school.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's a pretty corrupt system
was.
they had.
And my father would say that when it was near the end of the year, sometimes the township trustee was very powerful. He taught in a country school. They'd come around and say, well, you know, I'm running for reelection, and I'm going to need some funds. And if you don't come up with some money, then you're probably going to lose your job. So you'd have to pay maybe $50, which was a lot of money, to help him in his campaign.
Really?
So that happened very common.
Oh, my
And there were
goodness.
still one-room schools in Crawford County until about 1958, 59, along in there, Donnie. Is that how you remember that?
Well, Arnie taught in West Fork, so that was then in the 50s.
Yeah. And Jim Moss taught it down toward Birdseye in the country school, and that would have
Johnson
been
Township.
Johnson Township. That would have been mid-50s.
Oh, you remember some of the stuff your father sold as a second or third job?
Oh, yeah. My dad was always busy. Every summer he had a job, and part of it was selling food flavorings. And that was a big deal. He would travel all over 3 or 4 counties taking orders and deliver vanilla and lemon extract and things like that. He would get all his products at the English depot, the railroad depot, load them up in his car and take them out through the country. Because the teaching salary wasn't very much in those days. It's a little better now, but it was really terrible back then.
When did the train stopping in English?
I'm gonna guess in the 60s, would you say, Donnie, the number?
I don't know.
Are you talking about the passenger trains?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one that went one way in the morning, and one went the other way in the
They
afternoon.
ran a mail train after they stopped the passenger service.
And that train, you could get on at English and go to French Lick, right?
No,
Go to
You
Huntingburg.
could go to Tazewell, Birdseye, Huntingburg. There were stops every few miles, every little town. They'd stop, pick up mail, pick up whatever, pick up passengers, let passengers off.
The other way, the end of the line, I think, was New Albany. And then you could take some other railroad to go north or
Oh,
south.
okay, so,
I remember seeing the, what was the name of the railroad dispatcher? He worked the key,
Well, telegrapher.
telegrapher, what was his name?
Oh, it's,
Lived up on the hill. But anyway, I remember seeing him going out to deliver messages to the train coming through that wasn't going to stop. He'd come out with a big Y-shaped stick and had twine between the Y's and a note in the twine. And as the train roared by, someone in the cab of the train would hold his arm out like this, and it would wrap around it, and that was, okay, you better stop at the next stop. Who knows what the message was?
no kidding.
That's how they sent messages.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, of course, there was Arnie Vogelsong and Gordon Husk, Ronnie Kissel and me, and we were in the Naval Reserves. Mike,
Yeah, protecting the country.
we were protecting the country.
God help us.
And on the way back, a train stopped us. So dummy me, I said, well, were you in the car? Oh, I mean, we were jammed in. I said, I'll bet you we could hop that freight train and we could make it to English before Arnie got there as the driver. Well, Gordon Huss said, well, I will if you will. Ronnie Kissel said, me too. So we got out, the train was going by, click, 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 click. We hopped in an empty boxcar,
I remember this.
and I thought it would slow down or stop in English. No,
It would barreling through.
we went through the tunnels, and we had our white Navy uniforms on, and when we got to English, there was Arnie sitting at the stop sign, right
Waiting
there at
for
the
you.
railroad, and all we could do is wait.
That's right.
And we didn't stop till we got to Huntingburg. And we stopped in Huntingburg, and we had to hitchhike back,
That's hilarious.
and it was
Where did you hop the train? Where were
New
you?
Albany.
Oh, in New Albany.
New Albany, yeah.
But you just
Yeah,
flew by English, huh? And Arnie's like,
Yeah.
here
We
they
used to go
go.
to Huntingburg just for swimming, and that's what I learned to play tennis there.
Oh, you did?
Tennis court and swimming pool.
Huntingburg was a bigger town, I
That
guess.
was bigger.
It wasn't
Kinda like
the
New
biggest,
Albany?
Jasper was
Jasper.
the big town, but Huntingburg was so much bigger than English. It had its own swimming pool,
Yeah,
believe it.
that was pretty amazing. Well, we had ours too, Sycamore.
Yeah, Sycamore, the little
We had
holes in the creek.
little streams that we swam in around. Not a good idea. My dad always said, don't swim below town.
Oh,
That's right.
things were a little dirty,
We
huh?
had no sewage system then, and most everybody that lived in English had straight pipes. Led right out into the
That's right.
stream.
Donnie, you were talking about that
Yeah.
yesterday, and also the sulfur water.
Well, Sulphur had the Sulphur Springs, like French Lick, right? The therapeutic.
Yeah, they had a huge hotel down at Sulphur Springs, below Sulphur.
Yeah.
Carol, you remember that, don't, I mean, you knew it was down there. Yeah. And it burned, but a lot of people would go there and drink the water, bathe in the water, just like French Lick. And that was supposed to take care of all of your ailments.
Dan Wall told me about that. I couldn't believe that anybody could do that.
Well,
Sulfur
we
water
had,
stinks.
Donnie, we had a sulfur well down at the fairground, the English
Yeah.
Indian Fairgrounds did.
It may still be there.
And I think there's a wet spot,
Yeah.
and it's still there. But we drink that water, it tastes like rotten eggs, but everybody said, oh, it's good for you.
I remember Grandmother Flanagan's water, tap water was, whew, it was awful. So Martha Jane would take us up, there's a little spring with a pipe, I think it's still there. Past the
Gillen
high
Spring.
school, past the school,
Oh, yeah.
with fresh, clean,
Gillen
cold
Spring.
Gillen
water.
Spring.
Oh, something that this town and the school were on a separate water system. Each got a different spring. And I remember, for some reason, Mike and I went up to the head of the school water system one time, up there, up on the hill, above the Gillen Spring, I think it was. Do you remember that, Mike? You'd been up there before, so you probably remember being up there, the head of the school water system. And the town had several springs that they tapped to use for their water system.
So the town system got tainted.
Well, I
Right?
don't know,
Or was it from the
They had
flooding?
problems after they put in the lake and went modern. But as far as we knew, everybody liked the water at the school.
into the same, off the same spring that Martha Jane would go fill up these big jugs of good, clean water. Where was the hotel? You know that book about English? I forget which local guy wrote that book years ago. You know which book I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Ed Roberts.
Ed Roberts, yeah.
Ed Roberts.
Okay. In there, they talk something about the hotel in English that I swear I thought it looked like it might have been on the same site where on Sloan Avenue. Was it on Sloan Avenue? This was maybe even before Arthur built that house on Sloan Avenue. Do you know if there was a hotel there? Way long, like 1800 something?
There was a hotel on, it's on one of the north-south streets west of Main Street. And it would have been in business probably in the 1800s.
Maybe that's the one that the book
But
talks
There were 3 hotels in English. The oldest one was the Hazelwood. You ever heard that name, Don?
Yeah.
Hazelwood Hotel, which is where the old VFW building stood. And when they would have the annual Civil War Soldiers Reunion in English, people would come by train, east and west, and maybe by wagons and carriages. And the old Civil War soldiers, many of them would stay in the Hazelwood Hotel. Then there was another hotel right next to Sam Bence's store.
Yeah, it was across north of San Vincent.
Right. Right. And then the third hotel was across from the post office. Brick building, across from Noe Gobble's.
I remember where Noby's
Yeah.
office was.
The hotel that was still in the hotel business in our day
Yeah.
was that one there across from the post office.
They weren't all 3 operating at the same time.
Oh, no.
But there might have been in earlier days, before the railroad, after the railroad came, or maybe even before.
Now, Donnie, do you know where the first reunions took place? What location?
Somewhere out by Art Sloan's, I think.
Yeah. My understanding, my father told me that if you go up the hill, Art Sloan's on your right. And you can get up about halfway up the hill before you get to the little drive-in restaurant. But off to the left in that wooded area, and the Civil War soldiers would meet there. They'd have long tables and bean soup and cornbread, and my father went with his granddad, who was in the Civil War, and he remembered that real distinctly. And then eventually, they moved it down to where we all remember. You remember
The
that?
fairgrounds, what I call the fairgrounds,
Local
right?
fairgrounds.
I remember we went camping up in that, went up north of the cemetery and up the hill.
Yeah.
We camped up there, I think more than once, as Boy Scouts.
One of the 2 biggest days in most of our lives, and see if Mike agrees with me here, 2 of the biggest days of the year, are the week. English reunion, we look forward to that. Remember what the other one was that we look forward to every year? Happened in Louisville.
Fountain Ferry.
Fountain Ferry Park.
Fountain Ferry Days.
What was that?
It was an amusement park, and it was Crawford County Days, and they had to have a big ad in the local newspaper. You click that out, you could get in free.
Get free,
You
that's
could
right.
ride the merry-go-round, and you could get in Hilarity Hall free, a fun house. So, we,
That's in Louisville, huh?
yeah, we look forward to that every year.
I never heard that story.
It was really called Fontaine Ferry, but we always called it Fountain Ferry. Fontaine, named after some man that started it.
So is that the Civil War soldiers having their reunion? Is that what started what evolved into
Yes.
the English reunion?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. And it's been going on continuously every year. Not as big now as it was 40 years ago. It was a pretty big deal then. People would come
I remember
all
it.
around.
That'd be the highlight of our summer.
Yeah, really.
Gotta go to the reunion. Tammy Benham was my best friend growing up.
Who was it?
Tammy
Tammy
Benham.
Benham, yeah. Yeah.
So do they still have a carnival? Do they still do, where do they do that? Where do they set up?
Just had it a few weeks ago, didn't they, Donnie?
Yeah, it was in May, and the reunion was timed according, not really, but it seemed this way, it was timed according to when blackberries get ripe. So you pick blackberries and sell them and get money to go to the reunion.
Ah. See, I thought it was later in the summer, like July
It
and
was
August.
in July, yeah.
Huh.
You mentioned Civil War soldiers and stories that you were told. Did any of you, any stories come to mind that maybe your grandparents kind of passed along, or things related to your family's lineage going back to maybe coming to Crawford County or serving in maybe during the Civil War?
During the Civil War, my great-grandfather came from Oldham County, Kentucky, near Louisville. And Elijah Frank McGinnity homesteaded out off Brownstown Road, out about 5 miles out Brownstown Road. And he joined the Army in 1862. The war had been going on about a year. And I was wondering one day, how did he get to New Albany to join the Army? The train wasn't here then. It didn't come along until the 1880s. So I just found out recently, I was looking at some old stagecoach maps. The stagecoach line came right through English, and it turned and went out Brownstown Road, didn't go through Tazewell, and it went on to Jasper. So that was the New Albany Jasper stagecoach line. So it ran right in front of his house. He lived up Brownstown Road, so he just got on the stagecoach. And he
That's
was
convenient.
he was wounded in the Civil War, and luckily he didn't get killed, or I might not be talking to you right now. But anyway, there's so many stories surrounding the Civil War. And one little quick story that I'll tell about a runaway slave. And it's a little bit to do with English, not a lot, but in doing research up in New Albany, on the old county poor farm. You know, every county in Indiana had a poor farm. And we had one in Crawford County. I was trying to save this, still am, trying to save the old poor farm building in New Albany. They were planning on tearing it down 8 years ago. It's still, they still may try to do that. Got Indiana landmarks involved in that too. But anyway, I was looking through the old, they got excellent records of people who lived and died in that building down through the years. And I saw this one name, Lucy Higgs Nichols, and I just read a book that had her name in it. And I thought, she was a runaway slave, and she ran away in Bolivar, Tennessee, into a group of New Albany and Crawford County soldiers. A lot of Crawford County soldiers joined the Indiana 23rd Infantry Unit up at New Albany. And they kept her because she could nurse and cook and sew and clean. She went with them all the way through the major battles, Vicksburg, Atlanta, and the research that a group of us did found out she's the only runaway slave lady that marched in review down Pennsylvania Avenue at the end of the Civil War. And then the boys from New Albany, she didn't know where to go. They invited her to go to New Albany to live, and she lived the rest of her life there and became a well-known runaway slave. Well, here's where English comes in. Every year she'd catch the train, starting when the train called the Airline Railroad in the early days. She'd catch the train out of New Albany. She'd stay at the Hazelwood Hotel. She'd visit the boys around English and Crawford County every year. She went to Salem on the Monon Railroad and visited with them. It's a big front page story in the Salem newspaper like 1887 or so that says, Aunt Lucy's coming to town. Everybody come out to greet her. And here she was, a little black lady. And then the boys from Crawford and Floyd County worked hard to get her a pension. I wrote the National Archives, I couldn't believe it, they sent me 78 pages back on her. And said, and basically it said, we've never given any black lady a pension. But they kept working, finally got our congressman back in those days, involved. And she, as far as we know, she's the only runaway black lady slave that received a pension.
Wow.
And so, two other people and I, we went to Bolivar, Tennessee. We found a lot of records on her there. She also had been a slave in Mississippi. We went to Mississippi. We found out where she was born in Pennsylvania. We went to Pennsylvania. And we got tons of records, so many records, and now they've got a permanent exhibit in the Carnegie Center. A walkthrough exhibit of her life. It's really pretty dramatic.
That is
Anyway,
fascinating.
there's a Crawford County connection to her. She, from what I understand, she loved to come down here and visit with the boys that served, that helped her. And you know, there's testimonies where she would go out on the battlefield and help drag wounded back.
Oh
And
my gosh.
it's a pretty amazing lady.
Wow. She should be better known
Oh.
nationally.
There's been one book in the process of being written about her. Yeah, she's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Who did you say took over from John Day?
Claude
Rutherford?
Claude Rutherford.
Yeah.
I think that's who it was.
You know, I was scared to death to go to the 7th and 8th grade, but his daddy taught the 7th and 8th grade, and I was so glad when he took over because, remember Clell
Oh,
Long's?
I remember Cloud Long.
They had so many stories about him, it scared me to death to go in there. They said one time, I think it was he and maybe Bob, and
Bud Brown?
Bud Brown or Parks. Bo Parks, maybe. The two of them were in Clell's house, and they were
Amazing.
Clell's. And he got bad up and grabbed their both of their,
Sure.
both.
Yeah. No, not in his house. They were in the classroom doing something bad,
Yeah.
and he grabbed them both by the hair of his head.
Yeah.
Put a bunch of hair out.
That stuck with me. I was afraid, my God, I don't want to go into his class. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, I didn't have to.
Yeah, my dad was my 8th grade teacher. Yeah, you had him 2 years, did you?
Well, he was, I remember your dad, when I was in 8th grade, in the 7th grade, Kenny Briles was sitting there, I think he was making some kind of noise. And your dad was kind of, he heard that noise. He didn't know where it was coming from, all at once he smacked Kenny right in the face.
Oh, shoot. Ooh.
Because he figured he's the one making that noise, he probably was.
Can't do that today.
If you do it today, you end up in jail.
Yeah.
Well, Dad, you had somebody in the Civil War. Was it your great-grandfather?
About what?
Your
Civil War.
great-grandfather in the Civil War.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Wilford Flanagan.
Wilford.
Wilford
Wilford was Arthur's father, and he was in the Civil War.
Well, I'll tell you a little story that Mike and John, I'm going to blame most of it on John.
Okay.
He's not here to defend
Good, you're gonna
himself.
see him on Saturday, I hope,
Okay,
so.
well, we decided we were going to pull a prank. Well, it was an elaborate prank. We got a postal digger, we got big timbers, and we went up on English Hill, the highest point, overlooking downtown English. And we dug a big post hole, and we upended this
Big cross.
cross.
I remember that, yeah.
And we had it wrapped in burlap, and of course we poured kerosene on it, And after dark, we waited till after dark. We didn't know what we were doing.
But it scared the people of
We
English.
lit that cross and
They were unreal.
we ran down into downtown English. Downtown English was jam-packed with people at dark on a summer afternoon. And here's this big cross burning on the hill.
Oh,
And they were saying,
God.
oh, the Klan's here, the Klan's back. People, it stopped everything in downtown English. And then I think Mike and John and I got scared too. We thought, oh my God.
We're gonna get in trouble.
Remember that?
Yeah, sure do.
Why did we do that?
I don't know.
John, it's John's fault.
John did it.
I'm
It was
gonna
his
ask
idea.
them on Saturday, Dad.
That's interesting. That- Was there two crosses?
No, I think there's just one.
Because same story essentially, except the ones that burned it was John Flanagan, Don Standiford, and Bill Allen.
Oh, maybe there was another one. Now, were you involved in that, Don?
Yes, but I
Okay.
wasn't involved with you in that.
No, I don't think so.
Sounds like John was the common
I
denominator.
think that's it. It was John.
Oh,
It was
good.
John. We're
But
sticking
he
with
did
that.
all.
So you did the same thing, Donnie, just a different
Yeah,
time?
Then I at least didn't know there'd been another one. Because we thought we were original, and it was undoubtedly John's idea.
That's funny. You know, we have a Bible, a family Bible from Wilford. And what was the story? He found it on the battlefield in the
My
Civil
grandfather,
War?
Wilford, found it on the battlefield. It was a Bible. And I think he found it, I don't know what year it was, but grandmother started putting birthdays in there. She started keeping a family history in that Bible that he found on the battlefield. I assume it's still available somewhere.
I have it.
Oh, you have? Okay, I'm glad.
It's for safekeeping. I just wonder if like if the Historical Society, I know you can't call it a museum, but if you have artifacts
Archives.
and things, archives, it might be neat to have it on display someplace. If the Smithsonian doesn't want it.